Hey there, it's Shannon Magic Myers answering a calculus problem for one of my students. So we need to find an equation of the line tangent to the graph of the function cosine y equals cosine of 3x at the point pi over 4 negative root 2 over 2. So here we go. First of all, we need to do what? We need to find the slope. So to find the slope, we have to, come on, it starts with a D. It's not a bad word. Beautiful, differentiate. Okay, so here we go. Y is equal to cosine at 3x. Now, differentiating with respect to x on both sides, don't forget we're going to be using our chain rule on the trig function. So we'll end up on the left side getting a result of, awesome, dy dx. And on the right side, the outermost function is the cosine of something, right? So the derivative of the cosine function is, awesome, negative the sine of something. And then we're going to have to continue to the differentiate with respect to x of whatever the angle is, okay? So what was that something that we were working with? Awesome, it's 3x. So we're going to still have to differentiate 3x. But that original 3x goes inside here. Cool, cool? All right, so continuing, we'll have dy dx is equal to negative sine at 3x. And then the derivative with respect to x of 3x is, beautiful, 3. And then cleaning it up, we will have dy dx. Now be careful, don't make up your own math here. The 3 does not get multiplied into the angle. I'm talking about this 3. It is a coefficient to that trig function. So we'll get negative 3 times sine at 3x. Cool, cool? All right, so that was our first job, right? We had to find the general derivative function, okay? Now, our second job, right? So we found the derivative function. Now our second job is going to be to do what? We're going to need to evaluate that function, which was our dy dx at x equal to what? Awesome, pi over 4. So let's do it. So our general function was dy dx was equal to negative 3 times sine at 3x. So dy dx evaluated at x equals pi over 4 will be negative 3 times sine at 3 times, and then we'll be plugging in what? Perfect, pi over 4 for x. Cool, cool? All right, so continuing, we will have this will equal to negative 3 times sine at 3 pi's over 4. And then using our mad unit circle knowledge, we know that the sine function is positive, right, at 3 pi over 4. And so it ends up having an output value of, perfect, square root of 2 over 2. And so we will get negative 3 root 2 over 2 for the slope. Okay? So here, what did we find? We found the slope of the line tangent at that point. Good so far? Awesome. So next up, we need to find the line tangent to y equals cosine 3x at the ordered pair pi over 4, comma, negative root 2 over 2. So let's see what we get. In general, remember that we can find the equation of a line by doing y minus y1 is our slope times quantity x minus x1. So our slope is perfect, negative 3 root 2 over 2. And then x1, y1 is the order pair that we were given, which was pi over 4, comma, negative root 2 over 2. If you hadn't been given the y value, you could find it by plugging in that original pi over 4 into the original equation. And so now we've got all our pieces, so let's do it. Y minus y1, which is negative root 2 over 2, is equal to our slope, which we found to be negative 3 root 2 over 2 times x, which was what? Awesome. Pi over 4. Oh, my bad. X minus x1, which was pi over 4. So here we go. And for the slope, we plugged in what we got for that last part, okay? And then in for x, we plugged in pi over 4. I'm sorry, in for our x1, we plugged in pi over 4. And then in for our y value, we plugged in our y1 value, we plugged in negative root 2 over 2. Groovy? All right, so let's clean it up. And we'll end up with y plus root 2 over 2 is equal to negative 3 root 2 over 2 times x minus pi over 4. We're using WebAssign, and in WebAssign they isolate the y value. I would be fine with this result on an exam, so I'll go ahead and circle this. Actually, I kind of prefer it. It's easier to grade. But if you want to isolate the y, what's going to happen is you'll get y equals to negative 3x, well, it's probably written more like this, negative 3 root 2 over 2 times x plus, because the minus is plus, and then we would have 3 root 2 over 8 I'm going to put the pi like that. And then we now have minus root 2 over 2. And then a person would go on to get potentially a common denominator, but you honestly don't have to do all that. Okay? So if, just a note, if you're working without rationalizing the denominators, then it would change a little bit. You would have negative 3 over root 2 times x, and then plus, okay, so when you rationalize your numerator in the second term, what will happen is you'll have 3 times 2 times pi over 8 root 2. So then that will simplify to be 3 pi over 4 root 2. And then we'll have minus 1 over root 2. Okay, so that's all good, all equivalent results. Now on the graphing calculator, the way that you can do this is you graph your original function, and so we got y was cosine at 3x. Okay, so plugging in our tangent line that we got, I'm going to go ahead and do it the easiest way that I think it'll be to plug in. So y2 is going to equal to negative, and then I think it'll be that last way. So if we have 3x divided by the square root of 2, so second square root 2, and then plus 3 times pi and then divided by the quantity 4 times root 2 over quantity 4 times second square root of 2. And then the last one was minus 1 divided by second square root of 2. And then we hit graph, and then I'm going to run back to the y equals. I'm going to say done. I'm going to go back to the y equals, and I want it to be a different color. So let's do, I don't know, kind of a pink for the tangent line. And we'll go back to our graph. Cool. Okay, and so what pi over 4 is approximately, that's what, remember, we were interested in when x is equal to pi over 4, which is approximately 0.79, so almost at 0.8 here. And so if you kind of go down and look, you're about here, right? This is where they intersect, and so this slope of this tangent line here, right, or this ordered pair, if you will, is at pi over 4, comma, and then remember that our slope ended up being from here negative 3 root 2 over 2 or negative 3 over root 2, right? So and remember that we had found that up here, right? So I'll write that, since we plugged it in like this, I'll write that as 3, and that's negative 3 over root 2. And so the two graphs intersect at that ordered pair, right? And the green graph is the graph of, our cosine at 3x. And then the pink graph is the graph of the line tangent to that at x equal pi over 4. All right. So there we go. That wraps it up for this video. And I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you are watching the show. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and tell your friends. Bye.